Howdy and welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I hope everybody's having a really good week, and I hope if not that it gets better. My name is Anna and I am a lover of makeup and decorating myself in various ways. And today I wanted to talk about all of my Natasha Denona eyeshadow palettes. I have 29 total. I decided to just rank all of them regardless of whether or not they're available right now, because I feel like a lot of them will kind of come back for a little while and then go away. Or I thought that maybe you are trying to compare things that you have and decide what you want to get next. And so I thought maybe the comparison of everything that I had access to might be helpful. So with that in mind, you know, I have my own tastes and preferences, and so they might be different than yours. And I have a fair to light complexion and like a warm yellow undertone. So I don't know if that helps as far as, you know, what I find flattering on myself. Also, you know, there's just the matter of personal preference. So this is all for entertainment purposes, yours and mine. All right, well, let's just get started. In 29th place is the original Triochrome palette, and I like the packaging on it. It's really pretty. It goes from like a purple to a teal kind of. But I'm mad at this palette. And even, you know, it's colorful. It's pretty. I don't know why I can't get to love this palette. I've tried different looks. I've tried to do it. I just can't make this work for me. And for the price, I'm mad at it. I don't like it. It's too big. I'm never going to use the whole thing, especially because I don't like it. And it was so expensive. And so that's why I don't like it. That's it. That's the reason. So it's in last place because I'm a little mad about it. In 28th place, I have the Biba palette, and this one is fine. I think it used to be more of an not exciting, but a more useful palette. The problem for me, a couple of things. One, it's one of the bigger palettes, so it's expensive, much more expensive. It's like almost twice what the midi palettes are. I'll show you just for comparison. Same number of pans, but the pans are smaller. And I don't know about you, but for me, I want the smaller pan because I'm never going to go through it all anyway. And so that's the only reason that this is ranking where it is. It's a great palette. It's too big compared to a lot of the options that have come out since. And I kind of like the tones in some of the midi palettes better as well. So that's the only reason that this is ranking where it is. It's still a great palette. Number 27, moving right along. There's definitely a theme with my least favorite palettes in general. It's all the big ones. The next one is the blue purple palette. It's beautiful. The color story is absolutely gorgeous. I wonder, and I've said this in previous videos, I wonder if I got an old palette because I feel like it's never quite performed as well as some of my other palettes from Natasha Denona. So I don't know if that's a thing or not, but I don't know. I didn't think that it was kind of more dried out. I have gotten pretty looks with this. But again, it's just so big and so expensive. And I think that there are just things that I use more and like more and that were not so expensive. So I don't particularly recommend it. So that's that one. Next up is the Mini Retro. And this one, it's not that I don't like it. It's fine. It's just, for me, it wasn't all that flattering or interesting. Maybe I'm just not into like a super pale eye look, but I just felt like this one didn't look that great on me. I don't know, just wasn't so into it. That's it. It's just not that exciting. I think the reason that it ranked above these others is that it was tiny, so I don't feel like I was out that much paying. I think it was $25 at the time when it came out, so I think that's why it's ranking higher than the last few. All right, and next up in 25th place is the Natasha Denona Green Brown palette, and this is another one of those really big ones, and the tones in here are absolutely gorgeous. They're beautiful. I love the colors. I love the colors in this. I do think that, well, I think the formula is pretty good in this one. I was gonna say I think it's gotten better, but I don't know. I think this is pretty good, and like I said, the tones are beautiful. It's ranking where it is because it was so expensive. That's the main reason. It's just so much money. And like, I'm not gonna bring this with me on a vacation or anything. The packaging is a different style. It's a little bit more flimsy than some of the newer packaging. It's just kind of, I don't know, just a little more fragile and, again, really expensive. So that's it, but absolutely beautiful. All right, in 24th place, and this is the first midi palette on this list, and that is the Zeno palette. So this one is a few years old. I did not put these in order. There we go. Zeno palette. Like I said, it's one of the midi palettes, which are all this like plastic or acrylic packaging. It's kind of pretty. You could sort of get a rainbow kind of look with it, but there's something sort of missing. Like, there's no purple, there's no yellow. I don't know. It's almost like it's like the opposite ends of the color wheel, and I heard another creator talking about this too, and I absolutely agree that it's like, it's almost like two separate palettes. It's like there's this palette and then there's this palette, and they don't really go together very well. I don't know. I don't love this color story. I don't think that it was the best curated one. And it looks like, you know, there's kind of a lot of redundancy. I don't know. I guess it's not that bad that way, but that's that one. So it's my least favorite of the midi palettes, and it's falling where it is because of that. I like that it's a midi palette, so it kind of falls above some of the other larger ones, but it's also not my favorite color story. So that's that one. And then in 23rd place is the Mini Crush palette. You know, this one is not one that I wear very often. It's kind of one note, I think. Here, we'll open it up for you. So yeah, it's cute for a Valentine's look, a kind of red pink look, and that's fine. But I can get that with some of my other palettes. It's just fine. I do think it looks better on me than the other mini that I showed you, so maybe that's why I like this one a little better. Kind of cute. I do really like this shade. You could get a nice look with just these two. Anyway, it's a good palette. It's cute. Do I need it? Maybe not. Next up, okay, the Mini Nude palette is next. And it's a mini neutral palette, kind of leaning on warm, or I shouldn't say neutral. It's a mini warm leaning palette with earth, you know, like more earth tone colors or more natural colors, if that makes sense. And it's just kind of, it's like very basic and can work really well if you want a very basic look, basic warm look. I just don't tend to go for this one as much as I do a lot of the other minis. So that's why this ranks where it is, but it's a solid palette. Okay, next up is Mini Biba, and this one is 21st place. And I just kind of like the tones in this one a little better. I like things that have a little bit of a pinky undertone, or not pink, but like a little bit more, yeah, it's not pink, it's like a mauve. I don't know how to explain that. It's almost like it's less orange, if that makes sense. I don't know if you can see the difference there. I guess, so this is the Mini Nude and this is Mini Biba, and I just think these tend to be a little bit more flattering. So that's why. That's why. And there are a lot of minis in this little like area of the ranking, just because, you know, sometimes the midi palettes are a little more exciting. And so that's why these are falling where they are. And by exciting, I mean, they're just more colors. I get more excited about them. I don't know, there's more exciting to me. All right, next is Mini Lila. And this is an older one. But I think it's really pretty, and I like how you have the little purple option, but you can also go very neutral. I've heard people saying they don't love the formula on this as much. I'm going to be honest, I haven't used it in quite a long time. So I haven't used it actually since getting like the newest palettes, which I think the like the last one, the Xenon that came out, and I Need a Nude came out recently, Yaka, My Dream Mini, those palettes all I think do have a better formula than this, but I don't know, I didn't find it terrible. I don't know if you can get this anymore, but it's a cute little palette. It's got a duochrome in it. It's nothing spectacular, but it is there. All right. And next up is the Mini Pastel palette. And I actually really like this one. I think we're at the point where I'm like, yes, I really like the rest of these. And there's not a single one that I'm like, I don't like it, but now we're into the like, yeah, like I really like these and recommend them. And I just think this is really pretty and fun. I don't think it's for everybody because I don't think everyone likes to put a colorful look. It's also very light. There's not a lot of depth in this. I think like one of these might be the deepest in this palette, and they're not. They're very light. So it's a more ethereal look, which I think is pretty, but again, not for everybody, but I do like that one. All right, and next up is the Glam palette. And I like this palette. The tones in it are fairly nice. It's very, very cool toned. For a, I don't want to say neutral is kind of the wrong, natural, for a natural, those two terms get a little confusing for me when it comes to makeup, because I feel like neutral makeup is sort of the like, what you think of with makeup. It's like, you know, flesh tones. But I don't know, you know, because you can also think of like neutral to cool or neutral to warm in that way. And so I'm not sure exactly which to use, because this is a very cool tone palette, but it's also very, so I'm going to say natural, as in like, you know, like the shadows on your face, like naturally it's gonna be those. I just like some of the other more natural palettes better for me. I wonder if you had a cooler undertone, if this might be a little bit more appealing. Like I said, I like it. It's a little bit more boring and compared to some of the other midi palettes that I have. So that is the Glam palette. I'm also a little surprised, because it's called Glam, that there's not like a super deep, like couple super deep shades. I feel like I would want a little bit more depth. And maybe that's why I'm a little bit less on this one. I guess there are some kind of warmer tones on the top row. Anyway, that's Glam. Okay, the next palette in this ranking is, and this is 17th place, and that is the Bronze palette. Very shiny. Very shiny. And this is another one of the midi palettes. I think that this is a very flattering palette. I like that the deeper shades are kind of brown toned, or like the deepest shade. This though is also similar. I think this could have been a 5-pan. Like, just get rid of a lot of this. But it is flattering. It is beautiful. So, I don't know. Yeah, it's a lot of the same to me. Maybe it's, you know, my skin tone, undertone, not sure. Anyway, it's not that exciting, but it is, you can get such a beautiful look. So, but it's like, you know, the same. Okay, so that is the Bronze palette. I have not used that one as much as some of them. Anyway, next up is the Love palette. I don't know, there's something fun about this. Again, I think I just like pinks and purples on my eyes, especially purpley shades, and so I think that's why this appeals to me. I had heard that back in the day when this came out that the formula was inconsistent, like there was a batch that wasn't good, and I don't think I got one of the bad batches because I don't think I've ever had trouble with this. But yeah, I like some of these like maroons and purples, and you know, again, it's not as exciting as some of the newer ones. I think some of the like shimmer shades have gotten so much better formula for the like gleaming shimmery, like the one that I have on today is just so exciting compared to this palette. So that's that one. That's the Love palette. And then next in 15th place is the Mini Xenon. And I think this is a great little palette, super useful. And this particular shade is really exciting. I think it's really nice. I like the midi Xenon better, and I feel like they're a bit redundant, and so that's the only reason why this is. And it's a mini rather than the midi, so you don't have as much, you know, variety in the palette as some of the others that I like better. All right, and next up in 14th place is the Mini Triochrome. I actually really enjoyed this palette. Again, it has the packaging that's like a purpley blue. I don't know if you can kind of see it changing in the light there. I just think it's cool. But yeah, I think it's really fun that she came out with a little blue mini palette. It's exciting. I like it. This is a duochrome. It's not like super special. It's not, if you're into indie eyeshadows, this is kind of just whatever. But for mainstream makeup, you know, it's kind of cool that there's a duochrome in here. I like the variety as far as like there is this deeper shade. You can get, you know, a pretty good, pretty cute look with this. I feel like it's not like you can get very many looks with this though. So anyway, it is a bit one note, but it's a pretty palette and I like it a lot. Next up, oh, and I should say about that one too, and it's gotten better and better and better and better. Makeup just keeps getting better. Blues sometimes can be, you know, patchy and kind of hard to work with. And I think this one's pretty easy to work with and blendable, which is really nice for, you know, the blue eyeshadows. So I do like that. Okay, next up in 13th place, so we're past the halfway point, is the Mini My Dream palette. And this one is, I believe, the newest palette that came out. And as far as the natural colors of the 5 pans, I think this is my favorite. I really like the tones in this. I don't know, they're actually pretty neutral, I think. I thought they were cooler. And this does have a touch of like a purple, like an aubergine to it. It's brown, but there's just like verging on purple. And I think that's why I like this one so, so much, because I love that like little hint of purple. Maybe it's because against the yellow in my skin, it looks flattering. I'm not exactly sure, but it's a pretty one. Plus it's new. I can't help it. Like my newer palettes generally will tend to be towards the top, especially if they're good. And almost all of her palettes have been good. So there's that. All right. The next one is Retro Glam. And it looks like this. I just think it's very unique. It's a little bit on the lighter side, in my opinion, but like I'm like picking up what she's putting down. Like this definitely looks kind of like a 60s like mod palette to me, and I didn't live through that era, so I might be totally wrong, and I might just be getting this from movies that I saw, about the 60s, like in the 90s and 80s. So I could be wrong, and feel free to comment that too if you disagree. I mean, I love hearing that kind of feedback. And I'm interested in it. But anyways, I just think it's very unique and interesting, but it is a little bit on the lighter side, so it's not one of my favorites. I haven't reached for this one in a long time. All right. But I think the packaging's really cool. It's got like an acrylic top on it. I don't know. I really love it. I think it's very cool. Okay, in 11th place is the Pastel palette, and it is exactly what she says she is. It's a pastel palette, and I really like this as a pastel palette. First off, because the formulas are great, and even though it's, pastels can sometimes be hard to translate into an eye look, like to have a complete look. I feel like a lot of times you'll need like a black eyeliner or something to sort of put it together. I feel like these, there are some like kind of deeper shades that add a little bit of an element of like contrast that are nice. And there are a lot of different, not formulas, but textures in here as well. So I don't know. I think it's a really unique take on a pastel palette, and I do like the formula, and I do think there are a couple of really pretty shades in here. I really like this one. This is exciting. In fact, should we swatch that? I haven't swatched anything. I didn't want to take too much time doing it, but this is just a really, oh, is it going to show up on camera? I don't know. But it's got like a bit of color in there actually. Here, I'm going to try to put it on the back of my hand and see if that helps. There's almost like a red flash in there. Not sure how well that's translating, but I think it's pretty. So you've got the pastel colors, and then you've got a couple really pretty like duochromes in here. So there's that one. It's just pretty. It's cute. Okay, the next palette is the Sunrise palette, and this palette means a lot to me. I have an emotional attachment to it. This was the first MIDI palette to come out, and was it my first Natasha Denona palette that I ever bought? I think it might have been. So it just holds such a special place in my heart, and I think it's actually very flattering for me. So I just really love it. I actually have like a huge dip in this pan, which is kind of rare for me in an eyeshadow palette because I have a lot of them. Anyways, a special place in my heart. This one it's for emotional reasons, definitely, but it's also super flattering, and I think it's super beautiful. and unique within the Natasha Denona collection. So I just really like this one, and I think it's cohesive. Like, it goes together well, the whole vibe. But it is, you know, one of the older ones, and so there are just some others that have come up, and I'm more excited about them because they're newer, probably. Oh, but yes, the memories attached to that one, they're so good. Okay, in 9th place, ooh, we've made it to the top 10, top 9, is the Retro palette. And this one is just super flattering. It's, again, it's those like purple, kind of burgundy brown tones for the deeper tones, and then some pinks. I just think this is, and mauve. It's just very flattering. So I like this one because it looks good on me. So that's kind of the main reason this is ranking where it is. It's a good one. And the formula is great. Okay, and in 8th place, and I love this palette. I think it ranked first in maybe even my last 2 rankings. And I'll go through the reasons why it's a little lower this time, but this is the Circo Loco palette. I didn't like the, outer packaging of this very much, but this is such a pretty palette. I think it's laid out weird, as far as, I don't love the way it looks. It's sort of jumbled color-wise, but you can get a really pretty rainbow look with this. It's just the formula on this, the formula on these bright shades are so good. The formulas, like, this is so good. It's just, it's so easy to work with. It's like bright colors that are easy to work with. You can get a really beautiful look with them. And this is one of my favorite shades of all time. And this one too, this silver purple and lavender. I'm wearing it actually on my lid today. It's just so shiny and so pretty. Just the formulas in this are so good. This is that blue shade, and I just look at that swatch. It's just like beaming. This is like total Cinderella shade to me. It's like that silvery blue. Oh, it's so beautiful. I will forever love this palette. And the only reason it's not like in the top like few is because it is one of the bigger palettes, and I think it should have been a midi palette. I don't think a lot of people, especially who are fans of Natasha Denona, I mean, of course there's going to be a lot of fans. I'm just saying, like, in general, I think people don't want as color, like, not everybody's into like putting bright colors on their eyes. And so the fact that this was a huge, one of the big palettes, you know, for 128 at the time, 125 at the time, I don't know. It's still, it's just a lot. It's so much money. And I think this should have been a midi palette. If this was a midi palette, I think it would rank higher, honestly, because I think it's just unnecessary, which, you know, just kind of like docks points for me when I think about it. But the formulas in this are superb. They're so good. Okay, in 7th place, we have the Mini Gold. And mine actually looks new because it is new, because I had one and I gave it to my mom because it looked so nice on her. And so I bought a new one for myself, and I just haven't used it yet. So it looks like this. It's a pretty palette. Nice for travel. It's like neutral or like natural tones, earthy, but actually pretty neutral as far as it's not super cool or super warm. I guess it is a little bit on the cooler side. It's got like, it verges on green. This is almost got that like hint of purple in the brown. Like, not really, but I don't know. I find these shades kind of flattering, and so I like it. And then in a bit of contrast to that, in let's see, the 6th place is the Mini Love palette. And this one is, and I just want to show you together, like, these are probably, I mean, these are my 2 favorite minis, and you can see them as like more kind of natural, kind of grungy shades, and this is more that pink and purple thing that I like. It's a little bit cooler. It's like the mauvey purples here. And then some pink. And then you have like your highlight shade for your inner corner, brow bone, whatever. And this particular palette is just so flattering. Like, it just looks so nice on me. And I did bring it on a trip with me this last year. In fact, I might have brought it on 2 trips in December, November, December. And it's just flattering. It just looks nice. Like, I know I'm gonna get a pretty look with this and it's gonna look nice. So I really like it. Super travel friendly, like easy peasy. But it's also like natural enough. Like, if you just use these shades, at least for me, that's gonna actually look pretty. It's not gonna be like, oh, like people, they might notice I'm wearing makeup, but it's not gonna be like super colorful, if that makes sense. It's just sort of understated color. It's colorful, but not colorful. I don't know. Anyway, I like these. And that was Mini Love. I highly recommend this one. If you like these colors, this formula is really great. And just, I like this one a lot. In 5th place is the Yaka palette. And admittedly, I think this one is ranking a little higher because it is a newer palette. But I will say these like shimmers, look at that. They're just gleaming. Oh, this light is so nice right now, which is helping. But like, look at how luminous that looks. I love the tones in here. I find these very flattering on my skin tone. I would say if I have a criticism about this palette, I would like one deeper brown or green, just something really deep. Because I don't think these quite have the depth that I want for this palette. Other than that though, I love the shades in this. And it's pretty varied. Like, I don't feel like there are any 2 shades that are like so alike that they're redundant. So anyway, just a really pretty palette. All right. In 4th place is the My Dream palette, the midi size. And I just really like these tones. I find they're kind of dramatic, and I think that it seems Natasha Denona really likes dramatic makeup. Like on herself, you know, often she'll have a really dark eyeliner, and just more like contrast in her makeup that she's personally. And I feel like this was sort of like, you know, my dream palette. It's like what she would want if she had like her perfect palette, and I can totally see this on her. Anyways, I find it very flattering. I do like that there's a lot of depth in it, and there are a couple like duochrome. Actually, I think this might be a multichrome. It almost goes from like a pink to a gold to a green, and then like this is just really pretty. It's like a shimmery, it's almost got like a red reflect to it in that, within that orange. I'm trying not to blind you, but trying to show you the different. Anyway, and then, you know, there's kind of some mauve-y, like maroon, purple, pink. It's just very flattering, and I like that there's a lot of depth in this one. I would say, again, like I have one complaint, and that I would like one shade that was just like a really bright beaming highlight shade. However, you can use your highlighter for that too, so it's not that big a deal. But yeah, I find these tones very flattering on me. I like them. All right, and in 3rd place, this guy. Also very, very good memories, because this is an older palette. And this is the Metropolis palette. I just love it. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Like, there are so many tones and shades in here. You can go, you know, with like a super warm look. You have the greens and blues. There are browns, like natural tans and taupes, and there's just so much going on. And the thing that I like about this one, as opposed to like the green brown palette and the blue purple palette, is that the pans are smaller. But the thing that I like about it compared to like the bigger, like the Circo Loco size is, I'm just gonna show you the difference. This one has 28 shades and this one only has 15. So like you get so many more shades for the same price. And I love, if it's gonna be that expensive, I want 28 shades. Like that feels good to me. It is still super expensive, but this is such a good one. I could have ranked this first, honestly, but I think just because it's older and more expensive, maybe that's why it's where it is. But this is in third place, and this is an older palette. I also, you know, the packaging is not as fantastic. The magnets are like falling out of it. It's just, this is a well-loved palette. So pretty. All right, so that's Metropolis. Also, I will say, some of the formulas in this one are not as good as some of the more recent palettes. So that is a thing. But the color story is just so good. And again, you know, there's an emotional vibe to this. You just do so much with it. Anyways, I'm moving on. Lots of love for that palette from me. Okay, in second place is the I Need a Nude palette, and looks like this. I like the cover. Again, it has that like acrylic top on it, which I just find so cool. I don't know, I've always liked clear colored like glass and plastic. I don't know, just something I like. But the tones in this, it's like the perfect natural palette. I want to say neutral, but I'm not sure that that's what I mean. Like I was talking about in the beginning, I just love this palette. Like I maybe should have actually put this at number 1, but I don't know. I couldn't decide. And so it's number 2, but it could have been number 1. I highly recommend this one. Like I feel like, and I've said this in other videos, at least one other video, if I had to get rid of all of my makeup, except for like 1% of it or something, you know, if I could only keep like one of each thing, I think I would keep this. Like if I could only keep one eyeshadow palette, I might keep this, which is funny because it ranked in second place. But I would say I recommend this one more than the number 1 palette. Yeah, I Need a Nude. And it's just, it's so beautiful and it's so flattering. It's so flattering. It's really pretty. I just love it. I love it so much. I love this palette. Look at that. I don't even know that there's really like purple. Well, I don't know. There might be a little bit of a purple tone to that. I'm probably imagining that, but there's like kind of the, not exactly mauve. I don't know. And then there's this pink. This is just beautiful. Look at those tones. I love these tones. Oop. Oop. I'm trying to show it next to my skin tone, why I like it so much, but anyway, it's just so beautiful. It's just so wearable, so easy to work with. The formula is amazing. I highly recommend this one. I would say of all of the palettes, I recommend this one and the Mini Love the most. These are the 2 I recommend the most. I know it's a little weird because they're not like 1 and 2. I recommend them the most. They're not, well, this one is one of my favorites and I like this one a lot, but anyway, I just recommend these the most. That would be a different video. Like what I recommend would be a different video, but this is just what I like personally. And I can be a little extra, so I don't know. Anyway, okay, the number 1 palette, which might not come to as a surprise to anybody because I've talked about I did like 3 videos on this one, but this is the Xenon palette. And I just think it just came as such a shock to me. Like how, well, okay. All right, let me go back a step. Gray is my favorite color. Gray is my absolute 100% favorite color. And this is the first gray scale palette that I have been able to get a look that I really find flattering for myself. Generally, I think maybe I'm not a gray girl as far as like eye makeup, but for whatever reason, this one does it. I have the tops of my eyes are only this palette. I used Circle Loco for the bottom because I wanted a little bit of purple in there, but the tops are this palette, and I just think I can make a flattering look with this palette. And so I'm like incredibly impressed by it. It's so easy to work with. And I find grayscale palettes hard to work with. And so I just think these formulas are spectacular. I'm going to swatch this one, and this one for you, because they're just, I'm gonna take a little more of that shade. I love them so much. Like, they're just beaming. And that like gunmetal, just sparkliness. Oops, that swatch didn't go very well, but I'm so into this. And I always like gray and pink combos. I've always liked that. So yeah, I'm excited about this one. This is very new to me, which I'm sure is contributing to my love for this palette. So just FYI, but I love this palette. It was an unexpected like love affair. This one, Xenon. It's a cool name too. It's got like sparkles in the packaging. I'm just so into it. It's so pretty. It's so pretty and easy to work with. Yeah, so that is that. If you like those tones, totally recommend this one. If you are like scared of grays and blacks, I actually, because like I said, I used to struggle. I still struggle with black eyeshadow sometimes. This doesn't have like a black. It has some deeper, almost like very deep charcoal-y shades. Not quite a black, but I find maybe that's why it's easier to work with. But there's enough depth that you get that like shadow. Anyway, I'm just going on and on about it. I love it, and it's beautiful. And that is my number one Natasha Denona palette, and that is my ranking for this year, I guess. I like to do these about once a year. I like the ranking videos. This is actually pretty hard, and I feel like tomorrow, you know, I could move something around very easily. But I do stand by, most recommend these two. And if you like colorful palettes, Circle Loco, even though it's so big. But if you like colorful eyeshadow, I think it's really easy to work with. Anyway, Natasha Denona, thank you for all that you do. I really enjoy your palettes. They are expensive. I can't deny that. But they are beautiful. And the formulas are generally pretty dang good. So I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to wish you a good week, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.
Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side alive. It will help us every day. It will brighten all the way if we keep on the sunny side alive.